ho, Devy Junkies. Brandon from the Devy Deep Dive Podcast. Happy post-Thanksgiving and welcome to the Devy Huddle Show. I'm here with my dashboard crew, as always, Dan Miner, the Sandman, Sal, and Sam. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Chilling like a villain.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to talk about all the upcoming Devy news. Again, it's still the transfer madness. We got some coaches, changes that we're going to talk about. And we're waiting for our special guest. Unfortunately, he's having some audio issues. Skip Newton from the Sports Illustrated Draft Bible. Hopefully he can get that figured out and join us at some point tonight. So, and then we're going to be talking about a little Evan Stewart, wide receiver commit on the Texas A&M. So he just recently committed, and so we're going to take a look at his film too, which should be a lot of fun. And then maybe talk later about the games that we watched this week. It's exciting championship games. We did a little bet, gentlemen, last week, and someone said on the Slack chat that we were all tied. We all went
4-2 in both picks.
We all went 4-2, so nobody won that. But so let's get to the news of the week, man. Let's just we're going to update. I mean, we're just sitting here pregame talking about all of Max Johnson now. Just hit the transfer portal. His brother, who was the number 1 ranked tight end coming into the class next year, was a commit to LSU. He also now just decommitted. So, man, there's just changes going on in the college. I love it personally. I think the transfer portal, I love free agency. That's all the fun part of Dynasty when you got a guy on there that is going to get a new opportunity. So I think it's great for these kids. I think it's great, guys. You can comment about these kids that maybe are going to a G5 school, showcasing for a year or two, and then having the possibility to transfer. Right. So it's a good, I think, for those young kids who, maybe originally coming out of high school didn't have the opportunity, didn't have the eyes being looked at, but come out, they flash in one of these secondary conferences and then can make the jump to the NFL. We were talking about on the Slack chat. Who was the guy we were talking about from Akron who was moving? Who was that?
Wide receiver. Mumford.
Yeah, Mumford.
Yeah. So, I think that's good, but let's get to it, man. Let's just kind of go down and get an update. Jay Kaner decided he was going to Washington. What are your guys' thoughts on him?
Well, I can't blame him. It's follow your coach there. It's not like Sam Heward was going to play in front of him. So
it's good for Heward. It's good for Hainer, I suppose. Yeah. It's not like he's going to be an NFL draft prospect, in my opinion. So go have fun.
Right.
You don't think he gets drafted? He could be a day 3 guy, but I don't see him as having NFL starter upside personally.
Not a fantasy relevant starter.
Yeah. You saw Heward, right? He was probably one of the top QBs last year. He's one of those Devy guys that we all every year we go into that, right? We go, like we talked about the list. You go down the 24/7 list, you grab the guys, you hope they pan out. And that quarterback is some risky business early on. That all those Heward owners aren't very happy. But I'm personally happy about my Rome Odunze love. I know, Britt, you and I are probably the 2 supporters. Jalen McMillan. I think it's going to be good for that stock. Somebody who can hopefully get the ball down the field to those 2 young men. So there were some rumors that Spencer Rattler was possibly going to UCLA. What are your guys' thoughts on him going with Chip Kelly?
Well, he'd start right away. It's not going to be Ethan Garbers.
We talked earlier about how we wanted him to go to a spot where he wasn't constantly in the spotlight. And while UCLA is like a little brother in the California school system, there's going to be plenty of ulterior things to kind of get in his way. And if we all kind of agree that maturity is something that we have questions about, I'm not sure UCLA is the best spot for him in terms of allowing him to keep his head on straight. So it's a good coaching system. I just don't know if it's going to mess with what he's kind of got working right now.
Yeah, well, I agree. The schematically speaking, I think it's a good system for him to go into. He could definitely put up some numbers, and recoup some of that value, that hype that we were all feeling before the season, or a lot of us anyways. The temptation maybe will be prevalent in LA.
Yeah. With all these moves, there's not that many more places you can go. If Chip Kelly goes up to Oregon, you never know. But
I have that on the show notes here. I'm not sure Chip leaves now if you got a Spencer Rattler coming. I mean, you know, I think you're settled there. I mean, why go head north when you've got Spencer Rattler? I think personally, it's going to be a very interesting year for Spencer Rattler. I think it's going to be one of those great storylines all year. You know, is this a humbling experience for him where he really kind of takes a step back and looks at how, you know, his future looks? So Quinn Ewers is
in Oklahoma didn't look good at the end. It wasn't
oh yeah,
good.
well, of course.
Caleb took over.
Yeah, sometimes a fresh start will, you know, will do somebody good. So Quinn Ewers is doing the Texas tour, as I call it. You know, he's hitting all those any crystal balls, Sal. I know you're really plugged in and looking at that stuff all the time. I know that's the latest. That's the latest, right?
Great. I think he's down to those two, right? Texas and Texas Tech.
Got the guy for Western Kentucky is going to be the new offensive coordinator. The OC. It's, I mean, who's going to start over him? All they have is Donovan Smith.
You know what?
Freshman.
You know what that shows me if he does choose Texas Tech is that he did have that clause in his NIL deal. He doesn't want to give back his $1 whatever million, and so he's just going to go and because he can enter the portal again and not sit a year, right?
I'm not sure how that works.
I don't know. Probably not.
I want to say the second transfer you might have to sit, but I think I'm unclear on that.
Because if he goes to Tech and elevates that program a la like not Patrick Mahomes but like similar with his weapons, then he's going to get incredible draft capital. But I mean, I don't know. I was talking about it with a dashboard member and I thought that was a really weird spot, but it does make me really excited for Cameron Valdez, one of their freshman running backs that I've been kind of hyped on as a C2C flyer.
All right, cool. Well, our guest has arrived. Skip Newton, how are you, buddy?
All right.
I'm doing all right. I'm a little on tilt right there. Couldn't get anything to work for a while because, you know, the thing has to be plugged in order for it to work. On top, it came unplugged, and it was just chaos over here for a little bit.
How was your happy hour this afternoon?
It was good. It wasn't too crazy. I'm not showing up, you know, 3 sheets to the wind or anything. I think I'm ready to talk to you fine gentlemen. Good to see y'all.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Skip. Yeah, so we're just kind of talking about these landing spots a little bit, you know, kind of updating everybody on, you know, where everyone's going. And we just kind of talked about Haener at Washington a little bit and Rattler possibly, you know, UCLA seems to be the crystal ball on 24/7. So, you know, Max Johnson, we were talking about pregame show. You know, I'm really surprised by that. I guess maybe what are your guys' thoughts of why he moved? I mean, doesn't like the coach or
in the last hour for LSU, Max Johnson and Deion Smith hit the transfer portal, and then Jake Johnson decommitted as well as their 4-star wide receiver Dakotas Crawford. Just decommitted as well.
Wow.
So maybe Kelly's coming in preaching something that Ed O wasn't speaking and just talked to, because I mean Kelly is notorious for not wanting to play rookie or freshman, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's a playing times issue for him, for at least Johnson and Crawford.
I'm fairly certain that it's the fake Southern accent that's scaring them all off.
Yeah, no, nothing that makes that you know, athletic director happier than signing a coach, having everyone transfer and decommit from your program. So that you know, that can't be a very good feeling for sure. So let's head to the running backs. Jameer Gibbs, you know, there's those lovely rumors of him going to Bama, which would crush all of our, you know, Trey Sanders and McClellan shares hopes and dreams. You know, I think it'd be an awesome landing spot. You know, do you guys think you think Nick Saban would take him if he called up and said, "I want to come to Bama"?
Yep. He'll play over Trey Sanders for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, Trey Sanders looked a little slow this year. He didn't do anything to make me think that he, you know, is going to be anything. But
so the other not very impressed with them either.
Yeah, he seemed to be kind of lumbering along. So DeMonte Traynham over here and Zach Evans, we still don't have any. Have you guys heard anything at all about whispers about where either of those guys could be going?
Yeah, Zach Evans, he visited Ole Miss over the weekend, and then he has a visit coming up with Tennessee.
I like the Ole Miss fit. I saw that as well.
Yeah,
I think he could really thrive in that offense.
Yeah, those are the only ones because I can't see either. Well, maybe training at like Crimson, Alabama. I mean, everybody wants to go to Alabama, but I think maybe Ole Miss would be a good fit, or Tennessee, because Tennessee just had who just left? Evans or somebody just left Tennessee too.
Oh, I'm not sure. Not sure who left Tennessee. All right, the wide receiver, we just talked about Jadon Hazelwood. I don't know of any other really receivers that got a lot of Devy buzz. We didn't talk about them last week. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on them.
I guess he becomes wide receiver 1 at Arkansas. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, what that means.
Yeah, I think he's kind of
he came back from that injury, and he didn't look quite like himself this year. He may be better, another year behind it.
Yeah, I wouldn't totally
gonna get the target. So,
I mean, I'm not super high, but he did score like 6 touchdowns this year, something like that. Led Oklahoma, even though their passing offense had some struggles, changing quarterbacks. And like you mentioned, Dan, coming off the ACL tear, he could easily be a lot healthier next year. So, not giving up, not too excited, but he could definitely improve his stock next year.
I think for me, I'm just happy he escaped the season without a hamstring injury, because you see a lot of your ACL tears come with hamstring injuries afterwards. So the fact he escaped that bodes well for his future health.
Yeah. So I got a question here while we're telling. It says from Woogie2, hey guys, do you think the NIL will ultimately be a negative or positive for G5 schools? On one hand, it allows blue bloods to flex their money even more, but on the other hand, it's all above board now. No bagmen.
No bagmen.
Or at least in the future, bagmen at least won't be as prevalent. Obviously, they're still here now.
So no McDonald's bags is what we're talking about.
I think so.
I like the players being able to do these NILs. Like, I mean, I can't blame Quinn Ewers. I mean, the only reason he went to Ohio State last year was to cash in. I mean, he couldn't have thought he was going to play. If someone's going to say, don't play your high school year, go to OSU, you get $1, $2, $3 million. Sign me up.
Yeah, it's really hard for a kid that age to pass on something like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost impossible.
I think you'll hopefully see some kids that are like 3-star guys kind of do what we were talking about, go to a G5 for a couple years, dominate the NIL in that area. Because there's areas they're going to have money coming in. And so if you kind of make a name for yourself there, then you're able to transfer into the portal into another school for your junior year, a la Jamison Williams, and blow up, right? I think that's kind of what I would like to see. I love the NIL because it's basically just exposing what's been going on for the last couple of decades and just putting an authentic, real thing on it. Like, it's not like the Texas Longhorns all of a sudden created this charity out of thin air for these linemen. We all know it's been going on for a long time. So it's just kind of it's very amusing to me to see some of these things that are that have been hidden behind closed doors or in McDonald's bags out in the air now.
Yeah, I think to your point, Britt. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you guys ever watch that show True Blood? When they come out and announce the vampires are real, and then it's this whole thing. Yeah, that's kind of what this is like.
Yeah. I'm going to go on record. I hate all about the money stuff. I'm just old school, I guess. I think if they play, they should get paid. But this whole get this $1 million and go to another school, I know it's money. I get it. And you know what? I'm not going to be a hypocrite, because if I had the ability to do it, I'd probably do it myself, but I still don't like it. All right. So let's get to the coaches. Cristobal going to Oregon. He's from Oregon going to Miami. I don't know. That doesn't excite me too much. I think we briefly talked about this last week. Miami, to me, doesn't really have, other than Van Dyke, I think, any Devy asset that excites me. Am I wrong on that? Is there other?
Not really. But the thing with Cristobal is he's a great recruiter. And if he can win Florida, they're going to be coming. And I think he's a better recruiter than coach. Like, I don't know if he's really that great of a coach. I mean, I don't know.
I think you could say he's not that great of a coach, Sal. I think that's pretty easy.
But great recruiter for sure.
Yeah. It's not hard to dominate the Pac-12, especially without USC.
He was getting all the USC guys, Southern California guys. And I remember, I'm dating myself, but like I remember when Howard Schellenberger was in Miami, he's like, you win Miami, you become one of the top teams. And if they win that Florida, a little bit into Georgia, they'll be back up there, no matter what he does as a coach.
Yeah, and in fairness, he did I mean, Oregon, their offense was terrible, but what did they go 10-2 this season? So I mean, they were
10-3.
Pretty much dominated the Pac-12. So
yeah,
Michael Irvin is on board too. I heard an interview with him talking about it. So
he played with the Cristobal, I bet, or probably after maybe.
Yeah, I think they definitely have a past. He knows them from somewhere. Yeah, they probably did.
Our dashboard insider Richard Adams here says Joe Brady's going to be the offensive coordinator. It's great to have our own. It's great to have our own Scheffner, isn't it? Like in our dashboard crew. Yeah. I mean, Rich is like, dude's all over everything. You know what I mean? That Slack chat's like on fire with like tweets and all that stuff. So thank you, Richard.
Him and Alex are killing it.
Yeah, right.
I need Rich to stop that because Joe Brady needs to come to Seattle and take over Pete's head coaching job. Yeah. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So Brent Venables, what do you guys think him going to Oklahoma? I think it's kind of good that they got a defensive-minded coach a little bit. I mean, their defense has been so terrible for so long. Yeah. I mean, maybe they just had to go in that direction and fix that. So, Richard's laughing at me over here. So, what do you guys think about that hire?
I mean,
defensive coaches bode well for running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a good point. I think it's a good fit just from a team standpoint. Like going beyond the Devy. I think, like you said, getting a defensive-minded head coach in the Big 12, kind of a change of scenery. If they can turn that defensive around, I mean, we know what their offenses have looked like, and they're still recruiting some of the top talent at those positions. Maybe not, a lot of them are going over to USC now, but, Venables is a pretty well-known guy. So maybe they can start to get some of those new recruits, keep bringing in those offensive guys, and I do think it's a good fit for them as a team.
Yeah, that defense cost them a lot of games this year. They would have definitely won more games if it wasn't so terrible.
They couldn't stop anybody.
All right, who's ready to do some film grinding?
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Do this.
Always.
Don't let me forget to talk about my history lesson at the end, just in case I forget. Okay. All right, boys. So Mr. Evan Stewart just committed to Texas A&M, wide receiver. He's 6 foot, 175 pounds. He is the number one receiver in the composite and 24/7 sports. A&M, Florida, Texas, Alabama, and Arkansas. So a lot of big schools looking to go after him. Couldn't really find any senior stats online. So, and I didn't break this down like I did the first couple. I just didn't have time. So, and a lot of those things overlapped. Remember, we were talking about it as well as far as the traits and everything. So,
yeah, he opted out after 3 games.
Yeah, I was going to say, he played 3 games senior year.
Good for him.
Well, he just went right through him.
Let's go through him a little bit. He's got some good yak ability.
Definitely get some Rondale Moore vibes when they run him on these types of plays.
Man, the change in direction and change of speed so quickly it's easy to see why he was number one. I mean, it's just man, what a burst. He just goes as soon as he changes direction. And he does it multiple times throughout this video.
Yeah, like right there, right? I mean, you can see at the beginning of this play. This thing's 5 minutes long, so I'm not going to keep cutting it and stopping it, but there's a lot of film I got on here. So it's got the explosion, good vision, just explosion.
Wow.
that's speed.
He pulled away from that kid in 5 yards really quick.
This was one of my favorite plays right here. I love the way he sold that route, sold it going outside and then cut it inside.
I agree.
Right there.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, and then he's got the contested catch. He's got the catch point, right? Mm-hmm. Goes up and grabs the ball.
I like this play a lot too, if I recall. Yeah, he gets in the DB's blind spot there. You don't see it a lot in high school guys, but he has definitely a few plays where he's clearly manipulating the defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
Notice that as well. Yeah, man. In open space, it's goodbye.
Even if you take a great angle on him, you're just not getting there.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier, that the angles he beats, it's absurd with that speed.
That is incredible.
He just blew by that guy.
My God.
I love that.
Not a lot of wasted movement there.
I'll tell you, man, it's all for me. Wide receivers, you guys know I say it all the time. It's all about space creation. He just creates the space. Then nice catch.
That was the same type of play. He sold that route again.
Yeah,
totally caught the defender off guard.
I love his quick feet right off the line and the burst.
Goodness gracious.
Yep.
There's not a lot of wasted movement with him, which I think is really important.
Yeah, I agree with Rich. He just said in the comments that, he's got good technique, and good technique creates space, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're giving him space too. Jeez.
I know.
You have to.
You don't see a lot of press.
You have to.
Definitely don't see a lot of press.
Yeah, but there's been some press in here. I mean, he's,
there's some. Yeah.
I look at the top of his stem, right? When he made, there's the release, which is important, right? But it's all about also at the break at the top for me, and what he does to lead him to create the space.
That bubble screen is insane. Insane.
What I really like that he does, and you kind of see it on that play and a few other plays as well, he shows an understanding of leverage. When a guy lines up on the inside, a lot of guys will be tempted to lean to the outside if they have an outside breaking route. And that kind of sells the route, and then you get the DB right on you. But he goes right at the defensive back before making his break instead of kind of going at one angle.
Yeah, defensive manipulation.
Exactly. He doesn't sell it. He does sell his route by going the opposite direction at first, usually.
What a catch.
Nice. Great catch.
So you can barely see it, but I'll try and pause it. But when he does his break, he stopped on a dime. He's created the space, and then the catch. It was just incredible.
Yeah, that catch is nuts.
Amazing catch.
That safety shading over him already. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Nothing they can do.
Just nice concentration at the catch point.
There. Yeah.
That was good. That was good coverage right there, too. The safety was in position.
He split him.
He's one of those guys that he's like DK Metcalf when Russell Wilson's throwing the ball. DK's always got to slow down a step or two to let the ball catch up to him. It's just too much speed.
Yeah. Imagine getting that assignment, having to go against this guy.
Oh,
see,
man.
That was like a two-step cut back there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, though. You know what I mean?
No.
So
175.
Check out this block. I love this.
This was good.
Man.
Yeah. You
Nice.
barely see that in the highlights.
I love to see wide
I
receivers.
think this is a great example of what I was talking about here as far as leverage, like going. DB's on the inside, so he extends to the outside to get him to kind of shift over that way before cutting back in.
Yeah, but look at the footwork at the top of his route. Boom, right there.
Yeah, it's no wasted movement, man. It's incredible.
He's shifty.
He's refined at such a young age. It's exciting to see what he can do. He's going to Bama, right? Yeah.
I mean, just the hip sync, I think, at the top of the stem.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern for him.
His landing spot.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if they,
that he'll be a weapon. They'll be able to get him open in space.
They're going to have to.
Boy, he's a nice job on that one coming back. He didn't just stop and turn. He came back a solid yard to make sure he created that space.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
That's helping your quarterback out a lot.
He could be a big help to Haynes King. Big help.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the fact that, I know it's high school, so you don't got to read too much into it, but his ADOT's all over the field. It's not just a bunch of bubble screens and slants and stuff for end arounds. They're using them deep. I like that.
Yeah. This is a nice highlight package showing a lot of the different types of routes he runs and plays.
It is.
So this is the last one, and this is what I wanted. This is, you guys know what I talk about with wide receivers all the time. Strength and play strength and toughness. This I just wanted to. I blew it up as much as I can because it was so far away. But look what he does to this kid.
Oh yeah.
I think that was tiny, to be fair. Like, look at this.
I forgot that's what this was. That's awesome.
So to just
this poor kid had no idea.
Yeah. But I just love that tenacious part of his game.
Yeah.
Did
that kid get up and throw him down afterwards?
He pushed him backwards.
Yeah.
He didn't throw him down though.
Yeah,
He's
so I
definitely
think
embarrassed.
Sal, I think you bring up a really good point. I mean, I've always said it, even for the NFL, man, I think landing spot matters. I mean, to some degree, it has to be factored in to it's just like I'll never ever draft another Oregon wide receiver. Well, maybe I will now that the coach is gone.
Maybe no Miami wide receivers.
Yeah, but now I'm never going to draft a Miami wide receiver. I guarantee you. But
well, Jumbo, I don't know if they're just not like Demas, but I don't know if that's more Demas than him. Chase Lane didn't do nothing. Muhammad actually didn't look too bad, but who knows? Maybe if Quinn goes there, he'll probably start over those guys right away. If I was Evan Stewart, I'd be calling Quinn right now. Let's make this happen. What are we going to do? Let's do this.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I actually, when he committed here, I thought maybe he knew something already, or maybe he got,
I mean, that connection would be tremendous.
I don't know what Anais Smith's measurables are, but he's got to be close to his size, I think, right? I mean,
5'10", 190.
Yeah, I think this kid's six. I mean, he's
175.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he's more of that mold than a bigger kind of player.
I mean, if they used him in that role, that type of role, he could be a hell of a playmaker.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with his development in the strength training room if he's able to gain weight and keep on that speed and elusivity, or he's gonna have to keep it off and just we may have a Tutu Atwell situation on our hands. The only thing I'm a little concerned about, 175 is pretty light, no matter how you cut it.
Isn't Tutu like 145?
Tutu, I mean, he was
Tutu is tiny,
which is an issue.
Right around there.
I don't think 175 as a senior in high school is too concerning. Guys usually add 5 to 10 pounds on the way. He'll be over 180 by combine, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes out at 185 and he has that speed and explosiveness, I wouldn't have any issues with that.
Well, I mean, Worthy. Right. I mean, he's the Devy darling right now. That guy's not very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Worthy. Well, how does that guy weigh?
Yeah, I mentioned Rondale Moore, and I want to be clear. I don't think they're the same player by any means. I think he's a much more refined route runner than Rondale was, his freshman season in Purdue. But just the way they used him in space on some of those plays, and just those movement skills, and just weaving in and out and cutting through traffic, I thought was kind of reminiscent.
Right. Worthy's 161 and 160.
160, yeah. He's 15 pounds smaller.
That's small.
It's still concerning to me.
Same height.
I'm just a thick boy. I can't help it.
Yeah. All right. So I told you I wanted to discuss some history before we move on to the championship games. Yep. Okay. Not that I want to put bad mojo on anybody or any player, because that's not my style. All right. Can someone tell me who the number one ranked on 24/7 Sports wide receiver was back in 2018?
Demas?
No, 2018, 4 years ago.
Oh, 4. Oh.
All right, let's start the other way. This past year, do we know? Don't look. Nobody look on 24/7. Don't cheat.
Nope. Don't even have my phone with me.
Okay. It was Emeka Egbuka.
Yep.
Was the number one guy. Okay.
2018. Okay.
All right. So far, we can't give up on the man, right? I mean, he's going to get a shot next year, right? 220. Can someone tell me? Can they remember 2 years ago who the number one 24/7 receiver was?
It was his teammate, wasn't it? Fleming. Absolutely right, Skip.
Good call.
All right. He's a lost soul, right? Back in 2019, can someone tell me who the number one receiver was?
That I think it was mentioned Demas, right?
Yeah. No, we talked about him earlier today. Jadon Hazelwood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Jadon Hazelwood. He
was. That's right. Woo! He was.
All right.
Yeah.
This one's going to be really scary. All right. So back in 2018, you guys are never going to guess this. He's playing for the team we just talked about, Miami, this year. Penn State recruit. They loved him. He was going to be.
Oh,
Skip. It's on the tip of Skip's tongue. I can, he knows.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I know. And he had to transfer to Miami because he lost all of his confidence because he dropped so many damn balls at Penn State. And I remember because I watched him do it all the time. So
you talking about Rambo?
Justin Shorter.
No.
Justin Shorter.
Oh, because you said Miami, it threw me off because he went to Florida.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, I remember.
Same
just
state.
Sort of
What the hell's
dropping
the
a ton.
difference? Same state. It doesn't matter.
Oh man, just a question.
Yeah. So just, not to put any, the Madden curse on this poor young man, but just pointing it out, that a lot of times, okay, it doesn't always go as planned. But he certainly looks like an explosive player. But I do have a little bit of concerns about his landing spot, especially until we find out what running or quarterback's going to be tossing him the ball. Hopefully, imagine if Ewers goes there. I think that's going to solidify him as probably first wide receiver taken off every startup Devy draft.
Yeah, that's a dream pairing.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about these football games this past weekend, man. I thought it was great. The Oregon-Utah game. I had a feeling Utah was going to win this. I just, as we talked about it last week, I'm just not an Oregon offensive, I just don't believe in their offense. And I think they were overrated all year, only because of that great defense. And obviously their defensive end who's going to be one of the top picks in the draft. So I don't know. I wasn't surprised by this outcome. You guys have any thoughts?
I thought Thibodeau, for being so highly rated, hardly impact the game at all, which was kind of disappointing to see, I guess. I think he's probably going to go ahead of Hutchinson from Michigan, and I don't think that's the right decision. But
I think a lot of people have started to switch that. I feel like, the recent last few weeks
I hope so.
Started to see Hutchinson go.
Yeah, I've seen a switch in some mock drafts recently. Thibodeau just didn't really dominate all season.
He's been battling injuries, so you can't knock it against him. But I don't know. I think it's a bow to Utah. Oregon, similar to Ohio State, if you run the ball against them well, you aren't really going to do anything. That's how Oregon State beat them last year in the Civil War with Jamar Jefferson. Ran for like 200 yards. It's always been their Achilles heel for the last couple of years, and Utah excels at that. Game.
Yeah, Utah rushed it 40 times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's reminiscent of that Bills Patriots game last night.
You know who it made me miss? It made me miss Ty Jordan, the deceased Ty Jordan. It made me miss him. Yeah. He would have destroyed in that game.
Yeah,
I wasn't surprised at all, but especially by Oregon's offensive performance, man. It was just kind of what we expected. They fell behind, couldn't keep up.
Anthony Brown, I still don't know how they beat Ohio State earlier in the year.
Yeah, I did. I think they got lucky. I think that's what happened. I think they got lucky.
CJ Bordeaux.
I wanted to just maybe touch upon, that we got the rookie draft coming up, right? Talk about maybe some potential, dynasty assets. And outside of CJ Verdell in Oregon right now, I don't see much of anything coming down the pike. Utah
Travis
either.
Dye?
Yeah, he's coming back. So I think he's decided to come back.
He should. But
Cardwell is kind of interesting.
Yeah, but it's too early to tell.
Guy.
It's I'm thinking of like the next 2 years, somebody that we know is like on the radar. This Tavian Thomas guy from Utah is a nice story, but Britt will hate him because he's too old. So Brand Kuthi, tight end, I think could be a guy, but I don't think he's going to make it in the NFL. I'm not sure he's strong enough to play on the inside. As more of just a receiving tight end. So, of course, the big game was Georgia, Alabama. I really thought Georgia was going to win in the trenches. And I think once that momentum shifted in the late first quarter, early second quarter, I once Georgia got behind by 2 touchdowns, I knew the game was over. They just don't have the firepower to come back. I was disappointed in Georgia the whole game. It's a shame.
It wouldn't have mattered.
This is Kirby Smart's Achilles, or Kirby's Achilles heel. Yeah. It always happens every single year. Elite defense, mediocre offense, gets by the whole year. They play a big dog, usually always Alabama, and they just dissect them because they don't have the offense to work it up. But to Kirby's defense, the first little bit, if Jameson dropped that pass on that giant touchdown run, that game, I think that was a third down, that game would be completely different because that was it. Yeah, that was such a pivotal play. It was great to see Jameson Williams, of all people, get that opportunity as well. Really show.
I mean, what is it? You know, what was it? Georgia. Did they trail? They really didn't trail at all season. You know what I mean? They played with the lead and that defense, and they're not built. They not with the quarterback play they got right now. They're not built to come from behind. So once Alabama got that lead, you know, it was a.
You have to think Kirby's on the hot seat.
Yeah, but if you think, I guess you wouldn't make a change now going into the championship, but
right.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I agree completely, Britt. It's the same thing every year. They can never get over the hump, and I feel like they've got all this talent on offense, and they'll have a good game or two, but they just can't unleash it on a regular, consistent basis. Like, I'm interested to see if Pickens actually comes back next year. I'm very curious to see.
It was really nice to see him play and actually make a couple decent plays. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
You think he should, Brandon? Do you think he should come back, or do you think he should go pro?
No, I mean, I would go pro. If he's getting the report card that makes him happy, and you know that he's still one of my favorite receivers in the draft. I think physically, he's the most physical receiver I think in the class. Outside of Treylon Burks, but I think he's just a specimen all on his own. But I've always been a fan of Pickens, so would love to see.
I don't see anything changing for Georgia because Stetson Bennett, Daniels, they both can come back for another year. So
please don't make me watch another year of Stetson Bennett next quarterback. Fucking lose my mind.
That's kind of what I was gonna get at is what's going to change. It feels like it's going to be Chris Olave all over again, right? I mean, if he'd have left last year, he probably would have had the same draft capital that he's going to get this year. Just
Brock
I think Pickens should go.
Best player. That guy was
but I mean, it's Jermaine Burton barely was involved. You know that just didn't have a lot of creativity on that offense at all, man. It was just they were running, and the defense was keeping them in the games. And I did call the Stetson Bennett meltdown. You know, it wasn't a full-fledged meltdown, but he certainly made some grimacing throws in that game.
Yeah, they just don't have the firepower to come from behind. But it's going to be really interesting now because John Mechie, the poor guy, tore his ACL, right? So, if anything, I'm double, triple covering, my wide receiver 2 in the class, Jamison Williams.
Just bracket him up.
Other guys like Ja'Cory or somebody has to step up.
Ja'Cory's shown some flashes already, man. I think he's the next guy up.
Christian Leary got a little run in the running back position, which I thought was really unique.
Yeah, exactly.
That was interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see, who comes in and keeps it going. So what are your guys' thoughts on Brian Robinson as a NFL prospect?
He was banged up coming to this game, right?
Yeah.
He didn't
look his usual self.
He was definitely not close to 100%.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be day 3.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely going to be day 3. Definitely going to be day 3. But I think he could possibly be that kind of Elijah Mitchell because I still don't think that guy's a dynamic runner for the 49ers. I think he's a big back who's running very well in that zone.
He's a one-cut runner that fits the scheme.
Yeah,
it's a scheme
set landing spot.
Just want to do.
So I mean, I don't know. Brian Robinson is big and tough. I mean, he can run. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, I could see him being a 5th, 6th rounder who could potentially be a nice backup in the NFL. And if he gets like the Eagles, I would love to see the Eagles get a guy like that for short yardage situations to grind out games at the end.
You can't get all of the low key running backs. All right. There's some teams like the Seahawks that need a running back. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to share. You got to share.
Yeah. This reminds me of like a Chris Carson kind of player,
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
I would definitely rather have Jerome Ford too. I've seen Brian Robinson mocked in the first round in a couple of mock drafts. People are out of control, man.
Yeah,
where do they come up with this shit?
Yeah,
he's not.
Guy gets a little bit of hype, and all of a sudden he's going, first round, day 2.
I do think it's likely he sneaks in late day 3 or late day 2.
Yeah,
I really think it's possible.
I could see it.
That could happen.
You think so? Yeah.
Oh, I think he goes to Bama.
I think
he goes
early,
to Bama.
225.
I think early day 3 would be more likely, but
I'm with you, Dan.
Kind of in that Michael Carter range. Yeah.
I just think given the class's volatility of playmaking running backs, that a team's going to fall in love with his size. He's probably going to test really well because he's from Bama, and they're just going to kind of be willing to take that compensatory 3rd round pick and spend it on Brian Robinson and see what happens,
Yeah, I agree. I think all those bigger backs are going to go first. The ones that potentially can handle the load for a game or two in between the tackles. Michigan game 42-3. We all knew this was going to be a blowout. We all picked Michigan. So, I saw Blake Corum had that nice run in the beginning, got me super excited. You guys know I'm a fan of him. The receiving game is just dreadful for Michigan. It always seems to just can never get on track. So you guys think McCarthy takes the lead next year?
Is Harbaugh stick with his veterans though? I mean, I kind of wonder. I mean, I'm not saying McCarthy isn't better than Cade, but I can see Harbaugh like, well, we got to the championship round. Let's run him out again next year and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Possibly.
That's probably not wrong. I'm kind of sad. I'm forgetting the wide receiver from Michigan that blew up during the Michigan State game, but I was really hoping we'd see some more flashes from him.
That wasn't that Mitchell, was it? I don't remember.
Was it Mitchell?
Andrew
Henning?
Anthony?
Yeah.
Anthony.
Yeah. I was really hoping we'd see something.
Yeah, he was a one-hit wonder. I mean, he flashed and then he disappeared for the rest of the season. So
he really did.
We'll talk about the matchup here shortly on that. In Iowa, I mean, I don't think there's one dynasty. Even Sam Laporta, the tight end, I don't see a bright future.
I have him on a C2C league. No,
that offense is awful.
Yeah.
Hassan Haskins though is a guy similar to Brian Robinson. That is kind of interesting.
He's getting some capital. He'll get picked.
I'm glad you brought him up, Daniel, because that's there's some people that have been like, stop it. He's just a thumper down the middle, and other people are thinking he might have, again, I put him in the same boat with Robinson, right? He's a bigger back who could land in a good spot, a good backup, and be given that opportunity like Elijah Mitchell, and takes it and doesn't give it up. So I think
kind of like a Kenyon Drake kind of a thing, maybe, or I forget. I don't know how good of a catcher he is. So,
right, we've had some guys, in past years. Recently, Jordan Howard was another example of a guy picked in the 5th round, I think it was, and came in and earned that starting role and was relevant for
a while,
few seasons.
Yeah. I did not watch the Cincinnati-Houston game, so I really can't comment. Did anyone see that? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I caught glimpses here and there.
I got a little bit.
Early.
I was impressed with Toon. He was doing really, really well first half, but I didn't catch the second half. But it's clear that they just had no. Cincinnati had a great second half game plan. It was all over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was 14-13 at the half. Cincinnati was up, and then second half, third quarter, they just blew them out.
Yeah. Blew up. Jerome Ford. I like him better than all these running backs we've been talking about.
Agreed.
Houston, Daniel Dell, McCaskill. Not probably Clayton Tune having much Devy value, but McCaskill at running back and Dell at receiver, they probably have value. The offense goes all through them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see next year. Ritter, I think, could be the 4th guy taken in the draft. I think he's better than I think the Malik Willis shares stock has maybe gone down a little bit, and Ritter has been rising. Making it here to the championship for the Final Four. I could see maybe Ritter getting drafted before.
The interesting thing about Malik is who was it that put out that tweet? That just showed the valuation, like where guys were being picked in mock drafts before the season and where they're being picked now, and he's actually being going higher.
Yeah.
Who posted that? I can't remember. It was in our chat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I thought that was kind of interesting that he's actually going higher in mock drafts. You would think that his stock would take a hit in that regard too, but I don't know.
I think what it is, Dan, is I think what it is that people are pretty much made their minds up no matter what, and they're just going to put whatever shortcomings on Liberty and not on him. And so until they see a reason wherever, whether it's a landing spot, draft capital, something they don't like to see, I don't think they're going to change their minds until they see that. I think that's what it is.
I mean,
I think it's a little pseudo take lock for him.
He's going to blow it up at the combine. I think,
he should.
I mean,
he should.
That's
part of his allure.
I mean, you would think so, right? So
there was also just early season hype. I mean, he started off well, and from the offseason, he was kind of rolling, had a couple of good performances early. Some crazy plays that blew up on the media. So I really think it was probably just a lot of that was from the first month or so, and then the residuals after that of the following month that people were mocking him early. And, people started to catch up a little bit. He's had some down performances. So I would assume if you looked from October to November to December, it's decreased. But, overall compared to July, August, I'm not that surprised that it's increased because the early season hype was big time.
It was.
Yeah.
Quick.
Ritter, I do like Ritter, though. I do see him as potentially being a solid day 2 guy, potentially sneaking late first.
I get Jordan Love vibes from him. I do. Mm-hmm. He needs the Trey Lance treatment or the Jordan Love treatment.
Right.
Sit a year.
Sit for a while.
I mean, just about every single rookie quarterback should get it, right? That's what we've always been saying. But I think he's one of those guys who would really, really benefit from getting drafted to Atlanta, playing behind Matt Ryan in his final year, and then letting it ride. I think would be something to be really, really, really beneficial for him.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I looked at Jalen Hurts had better stats for 2 years than Malik Willis. And we all know how that may end up, right? So he had much better TD interception ratio, completion percentage, down the field, depth of target and all of that stuff. So I don't know. That'll be interesting to see how that all pans out with as we get closer to the draft. The Baylor-Oklahoma game was freaking awesome. I don't know if you guys get this. Skip, did you see that at the end of that game?
I did not see the end of it. I was getting my hair cut, and it was at a Sport Clips where they've got TVs on, and they had the other I was getting the Northern Illinois game. I'm like, really, guys? You're not giving me the Baylor Oklahoma game. God, I was just melting down as I was waiting forever for that haircut.
That was an exciting finish, man.
Literally, that was a great finish.
It was wild.
What an effort by that defensive back. I love that.
That quarterback.
Yeah.
Came on. He came on, and then at the end, they were just trying to hold on as much as they could.
That was exciting.
Baylor's quarterback, he injured his shoulder too in the third quarter, and he's still the grit he showed there was. I was impressed. I was impressed.
He played well, man. He's a true freshman, right? What's his name again?
Yeah, true freshman. Starts with an H. Hafner, I think. Something
Baylor.
Yeah.
Blake Shapen.
I do got to go though, boys. I'll talk to you guys later. Okay.
All right,
later, Brett.
See you later, man.
All right, let's talk about the last game, and then we'll get out of here. The Pittsburgh Panthers and Wake Forest game. I thought Pickett was junk in this game. I mean, he threw interceptions. Now I'm like, dude.
Oh, he was awful.
So he looked really good in this game. Certainly we talked about and a Bakanda. Corey's guy, he looked kind of spry as well. Jordan Addison did Jordan Addison things. What do you guys think about Jordan Addison's next year?
I'm a fan. Yeah,
he's the wide receiver too behind Boutte for me.
Really, ahead of Jackson Smith. I like that.
Nice.
I like that.
I'm not going that crazy.
Yeah,
ASN is my guy.
He's
I also like down a little
in
bit
that
more.
Class. Jordan Addison, I love him though. He reminds me a bit of Devontae Smith in some ways. He's got that slender frame. He's that smooth accelerator type where he doesn't really look like a burner, but he just runs by guys. Great body control, smart after the catch. I think he does a lot of things really well. He's my wide receiver 3 in that class right now, but he's not that far behind number 2, Jackson Smith for me.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a tier break for me, definitely, between Butte and JSN. But yeah, everything you say about Addison, he's awesome. I want to hear Sal talk about Pickett.
Well, I was listening to Dane Brugler the other day, and he has him as QB1.
Yeah.
Right now. And so I'm getting I hate to say it, but I'm starting to get on board because it's an NFL
Come on,
system.
Get on the train.
My only I love Sam Howell. Sam Howell is QB1. But my biggest concern with Matt Corral is how is that going to play in the NFL? They don't run that offense in the NFL. Kenny Pickett, that offense is pretty much he's more set.
Yeah.
I think he can start sooner. So it's getting a lot tighter. I don't know if I can say Corral Pickett's ahead of Corral yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah, I do have him behind Corral. Is it Corral or Coral? I hear people.
I don't know.
Sometimes
they say
Corral, I think it's
Corral.
Corral. But yeah, I have Corral a little bit ahead. I do. I just like that skill set that he has a
but
lot.
You have Howard,
man, Pickett.
Howell third, right?
Yeah, I did. I believe. I did move Pickett into number 2. Look, I've said it all, but just watch the film. I can't wait to do that film breakdown of him. At some point because just man, he reads defenses. He really does, and he goes through reads. He looks guys off, and he can make every throw.
Yeah, Dan, I forgot to tell you, Sal emailed me before we spoke that he wanted to do the Pickett film grind with me.
Yeah, fucking bad.
So I just
sorry.
I'm sorry. I just
sorry.
Oh no.
Yes. So I think next week we'll talk about the championship matchups. Right? So
yeah.
So Skips, what's going on in your world, man? You look like you're tired over there. You look like you're.
Yeah, I'm starting to fade, but no, I mean
your eyes are closing over there. I'm
good. I'm awake, but it's been a busy season. I've been doing the Devy happy hour with Matt Jackson, and man, just finding a time for us to get together and talk for an hour has been crazy. Of course, he went and had a baby girl, so that's keeping him busy,
right.
But also just getting heavily involved with the NFL Draft Bible and, writing as part of the Devy team and doing the blitz with John Lobb and Matt Hicks was an awesome learning experience. Those guys are phenomenal. And now they've asked me to pick up the Devy show and host that myself. I got to find a co-host, but they're going to switch into rookie profile mode for 2022. So
yeah,
I'll be running the Devy show starting next week. So that'll be a lot of fun, but definitely keep me busy.
Are they going to do that rookie big board skip like they did? I think they did that last year.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're getting into. I mean, Matt's running the rookie big board, but yeah, they're going to do the same thing where they just start breaking down all the rookie prospects and doing the profiles there. So it should be awesome.
Hell yeah, excited. What do you Skip? What do you think about Pickett since we were still talking about it?
It's tough for me. This quarterback class has been one of the most challenging ones because I feel like they keep going up and down, right? I mean, there's no. Usually by now there's a definite clear cut number one. And I feel like we're going to continue to have this conversation for months right up until the draft. I've still got him at number 3 because I love Corral and I love Sam Howell just a little bit more, but nobody's rising faster, at least for me, than Pickett. I wasn't even thinking that much about him going into the season. And now all of a sudden it's like, he's a lock for the first round. It looks like, so
Heisman finalist, I guess. Right.
Yeah. He is a Heisman finalist. And I've been saying it all along. He's a lot faster than people think. You saw it on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of people before that fake slide play probably would have said he's not very mobile, but man, he showed off some speed on that.
That was Sam Howell-esque.
Yes.
Who are the final 4? It's the defender Hutchin. What's it? The defender from Michigan.
It's Bryce Young, Aiden Hutchinson, Kenny Pickett, CJ Stroud. The fact that Will Anderson isn't in there is ridiculous.
Oh, Will Anderson, something else.
Oh man, we got a question here from Zachary. Any opinion on analytics hating older seniors coming out as QBs? Where's Britt when we need him?
Yeah.
Right now.
He's all right.
Older seniors coming out as QBs?
What's that?
Do they hate older seniors? That's a wide receiver thing, I'm sure, but
I think it's more of a skill position. But I think for Zachary here, I think quarterbacks they make an exception. They're so
Joe
far.
Joe Burrow was an older prospect, and he went
there's a lot of
overall. I mean,
and quarterbacks play longer too.
Yeah,
they could be around to look at Tom Brady. I know he's the exception, but you can play in your 40s. You can't do that as a running back and receiver.
No, for sure. What you guys think about Adrian Peterson getting above Jim Brown?
Slow he looked. Oh,
he tied him.
He was walking. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the ghost of Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
So, or anything else, guys? Before we, yeah, man, it's great. Hey, you know what? Good for him. I'm sure he'd love to, get above Jim Brown in the record book. Shit, right? Who wouldn't? Be like he'd be number Yeah.
He's still getting opportunities. That's the thing, The more opportunity he gets, the more stats he's going to put up.
Yeah.
Yardage totals go up.
And what about Mac Jones and that stat line?
That was fun. Almost broke the record, man. They almost broke the record.
Yeah, it was only 3 passes, but I mean, Buffalo knew it was coming.
They couldn't stop it.
They just couldn't stop it.
Man.
That was embarrassing.
G left. They couldn't stop it.
I don't understand why they didn't put another defensive lineman out there or something. I mean, they were just getting blown off the ball. New England had 6 offensive linemen, a tight end, a fullback, and they were just pounding it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Damian Harris was running for 30 yards with a broken hamstring. I mean,
yeah.
They did you see Josh McDaniels' reaction when Mac threw that first pass?
Oh,
he was pissed, man. He was pissed. He was not supposed to. He wasn't supposed to throw that pass. I'm telling you.
Oh, did Kanu?
Yeah,
caught it, but he
did.
Him.
He did.
Yeah,
he was
great
rusty.
Catch.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys.
They just did it.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Hey, Skip, stick around. I'm gonna want to talk to you for a couple minutes. All right.
Hey, no problem, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see everyone next week.
Have a good one, guys.
See you.
See you guys.